All right, guys, we are back with Women of TmrO Uncut. This is our mental health segment where we meet with some real powerhouse, boss-ass women and just dive into all good things mental health. So today I'm here with such a special friend of mine, Kay. I'm going to call you Kay because I like calling you Kay. But now, Krystal Garner. Introduce yourself. Tell me what you do.
Oh, wow. A lot. So I'm Krystal Garner.
No, seriously.
I go by KG, most known for my work with Trap Music Museum. Currently with Trap, right now I'm Director of Beverage and Brand Strategy. I'm also the Patron Ambassador for Georgia. Also,
Keep it coming.
SVP of BAM Creative, a creative agency in Atlanta. Also, right? It's just so much. Also known as well as winner of BET's The Grand Hustle. Also, Meisner trained actor, MC, host. I do it all. Ball is life, too, I guess.
Jesus, that's like 7 major things that all take so much of your time, I'm sure. And then there's like subcategories of all of this. So we really don't even know how to describe the whole resume at this point. How do you even keep your head on straight at this point?
I don't. Sometimes I look at pictures like it's always slanted, you know, it's just too much going on. No, honestly, I think it's just the passion to do what I do, right? I would feel not fulfilled or lazy if I wasn't as busy and active as I am, right?
Yeah.
I would feel like I'm not doing the most that I can do out of this life that is on borrowed time.
Yeah. So you've always just had this knack, like, this is priority for me. Like, I got to get up, go get it. Has there ever been a part of your life where you felt like, I want to focus on other areas and not so much like this hard street team, like, hey, you got to get up?
No, I think that's now. That's where I'm at now, right? I'm getting to that point where it's like, I'm always that person when someone asks me to do something, it's right then, right now that I'm doing it. Yeah. Or someone calls me and I just automatically answer, or they say, can we chat real quick? I was like, let's do it right now. I'm that person where I'm taking the time out to say, okay, let's do this on this day between this time and this time, right? Yeah. I'm giving myself my own lunch breaks. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. to if I'm not out in these streets working, I'm at home in bed.
Yeah.
Just not being disturbed by my phone just constantly vibrating, you know?
And you really do be in these streets, like, y'all. KG is not the type that just sits behind a computer all the time. She is on the ground. She's at every event. She always has something to do. So if you want her, get on her calendar.
I love the calendar. I absolutely love it. I'm grateful that in my latter years, in my 20s, I said I used my calendar, but I didn't really. I had a planner. I would always leave it home sometimes. You know, you got a cute purse, you're out, you don't want to carry a planner. And I got to a point after the show, I was just so busy, and Reagan, my publicist, she was booking me so many different things. And she's like, girl, you have to use this calendar. Like, we have to be on the same page. You got to know when these interviews are so you can prep, be ready, and all this stuff. So since then, my calendar now looks like a Christmas tree, lit up, you know? Everything is on the calendar. Everything is color-coded. Yeah. So I know what brain to switch to when I look at what's up next. Is it personal? Is it BAM Creative? Is it Trap Music Museum? Is it Patron? Is it PR related? Is it appearances? Like, is it interviews? Everything is color-coded on my calendar so I can know what hat to put on.
Too much. That's stressing me out. No.
That makes me so much better. It gives me ease to be that keen to what's going on.
I can't handle one more calendar in my life right now, so I get it. But no, so with this new shift for you, you trying to make more time for things outside of KG the boss. What does that look like now for your time? How do you delegate? How do you step back?
It's so hard because when I'm in the moments of just pure relaxation, I get this cloud over me. It's like, oh my God, am I being lazy? I could be doing so much right now. I have so much work I have to do. I have so much deadlines I have to do. But what it looks like for me now is really taking that time out for myself. I actually don't go out on the weekends much. If I'm out on the weekend, it's a special occasion, or somebody's in town and they're only in for the weekend, or an account of mine really needs me to do it on the weekend, I'm not outside on the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm literally in my bed, and I'll look on Instagram and see y'all outside, and I'm just like saying hello from afar. I used to have FOMO about it. I don't. I sit home. Just started binging Game of Thrones. In 2 weeks, I done made it to season 6, and everybody's like, "How?" I was like, "Cause I don't know. I'll just take my free time to just relax." The gym is another part of my free time. Back on it. I went through a lot, and we could talk about that just with the person that I became relocating to the South, and just the way my body shifted and how I wasn't as physically active.
Yeah.
I'm back consistently in the gym, and that plays a major role on just how my day goes and how I feel. So that plays a part in it. And I do take intentional lunch breaks. I do take intentional downtime. I'm just very intentional with enjoying life and not working the whole time.
So you don't feel like you're missing out. You don't feel any guilt about, oh, everybody else is able to clock out of work and go have a drink or enjoy things on the weekend, and it doesn't bother you at all?
No, not at all.
Wow.
See, the great thing about being an ambassador, and the main reason I wanted to get back in the spirits industry, I was in the spirits industry in New York City before I relocated here. And I was able to combine my leisure time with a check. I thoroughly enjoy having a great cocktail. I enjoy going to cool bars and cool lounges, new experiences. In New York City, there's a new bar every corner, and I was able to do that and get paid while doing it.
Yeah.
That was my only job, but I still had other things I was doing, right? I was auditioning, I was on red carpets being a correspondent, I was doing so many other things. And having that position allowed me to have the free time, but at the same time, still get that corporate check, still have my benefits, still get to be out and mingle with my friends, treat people to cocktails. So the same thing right now is what I'm dealing with, right? I have the trap, I have the creative agency I work with, I have everything else that I'm doing. And then when I want to go have a cocktail, it doesn't have to be on my dime, right? It sounds bad to say that. I love my gig. I really love working with Team Enterprises and agency. I've been working with them for years. But the best part of it is that now that I'm able to turn my leisure time that I thoroughly enjoy and that I'm always influential in, I'm always having a conversation. I make friends with bartenders everywhere in the world whenever I'm out. And now it's like I can also have a brand associated with it.
I think the really cool thing about your job is it allows you to be yourself.
Yeah.
But there's so many people who don't have, that sort of luxury in their careers. When they go into the office, they have to tidy up or get a little smaller, not speak as loud, not be as flamboyant with their hair or their jargon and things like that. But you really do have the flexibility.
Unapologetic.
Yeah, and so it makes it seem like almost work isn't even really work sometimes. But what is your advice for people who are experiencing that FOMO right now, because work is legit work? And if I don't make time to be me and have fun, then I'm just not ever doing it.
I know it's crazy, and it's gonna sound crazy when I say this. Since a young age, I never thought I was an employee. I just was like, I'm not that person. And code switching is real, right?
Yeah.
I've had corporate jobs where I had to code switch, and don't get it twisted. The position that I'm in, right? And when you go back to the corporate sector of it, and I'm on my calls and my meetings, there's not many people that look like me.
Yeah.
But the reason why my team loves me and why the company loves me is because they know who I am, and I don't change who I am.
Yeah.
Right? I don't put on a different face. One of my coworkers was just telling me like 2 days ago, he's like, you're just such a big personality and a big energy. And he said, it's so real for you, where some people will try to be a big personality or, and he was like just saying, it's not like you're trying. He said, I had to realize like, this is actually you. And I was like, yeah, this is me. But I've done that. I've code switched.
Yeah.
I had those jobs where I had to straighten my hair. I had to look a certain way. I had to dress a certain way. I had to talk a certain way. And I hated it. I was unhappy. I used to sit at my desk on my computer like, I hate this. I don't know if I curse, but I hate this shit. Like, I literally hated it. Twitter came out, and I used to be on Twitter like, I hate my job. I don't want to be here. And I never wanted to live my life like that. And because I was so young and just was so happy to get a corporate job and what I thought would be a dream company, I feel like God really heard my cries and just knew that there was so much more for me and that I was meant to show people that you can be yourself and people will still work with you. I think it's something we got to get out of our mind, that ended up getting let go from that job.
Yeah.
They tried to say I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing in the sense of I averaged like 39 calls instead of 40 calls a day. I was like, what? Still got the highest sales. But anywho, fast forward, thank you, because I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah.
Fast forward, thank you, for real though. I'm unapologetic. I've said from that moment, and I was straight out of college. So from that moment on, I will not take a position where I have to change who I am. And I don't. And people ask for me to work with them. People desire me. I just had a whole headhunter for a position talking to me. She's like, your resume is dope. Your personality is dope. CEO wants to meet with you. I meet with the CEO. CEO loves me. You know, in my brain, I'm like, but I'm at a point in my life where I can choose to say yes or no to this position because I'm happy with what I'm doing now. But it took a long time to get here.
Right.
It took a long time.
You're doing well. Like, I feel like so many people look up to you because you're this big boss out here in Atlanta. Like, it's hard to miss you. Like, you're this big personality. You're a Black woman that's knocking down doors in an industry where people don't look like you.
Yep.
You know, you're outspoken, the big hair, the big personality. And I'm sure that's probably a lot to carry sometimes too.
Absolutely.
Knowing that you're this woman where, like, if I do this the right way, it'll make it easier for other people to come up behind me. Yeah. What are some of the woes of being this big boss?
I don't get to turn off, right? And it used to never be a thing. It used to never be a thought, like turning off, because my 20s, this is me. It just didn't really matter. I'm getting a little tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to be the biggest person in the room. Sometimes I just want to just chill. And it's hard because when people see me, they like expect a good time. Like, oh my God, KG's here. It's going to be great. We're going to have a good time. And sometimes I just don't have, I just want to go home and take a nap.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my age is getting to me. And I was wondering if it had to do with health issues and all that type of stuff. But no, I think just in my mind, it gets a little tiring and it's pressure. You want to always be great. I don't want to ever mess up and some young girl's like, oh, well, you know, she messed up. And I'm far from perfect. I know that for a fact. I know I can be difficult to work. The woes are that I know my flaws and I'm working on them, but that shit is hard to do.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's gotten me this far. Why do I have to change? But at the same time, I understand why I do, but it's just frustrating, right?
What are some of those like frustrating conversations that you feel you've had to have with yourself?
I have a lot of them. I would say the main one that I'm having with myself now is to be okay with letting other people do what they say they can do.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have some weird innate ability to know people's abilities and what they can and can't do. It's been that way my whole life. I'm an empath. I've always have been. And I could just kind of see when things are not going good. And I care so much about the perceptions of brands that I work with or people or things that I'm doing that naturally I just step in and fix it. Mm-hmm. And I have to stop that.
Yeah.
And it sucks because things may fail, and I'm not foreshadowing anything, but I had to learn to say, you know what, people are upset, right? And it's hurting people that they feel like they're not able to do their job because I always step in to fix things when it's not going the right way. And now I'm being okay with if it all falls. If it all falls, it's because I had to let people realize that I'm really trying to help you. It's never wanting to be better than you. It's never wanting to step on your toes. I always want to make everybody better, but a lot of people can't handle that. Yeah. It's weird, but it's true. I've dealt with it in my chapter before, my sorority sisters. It's just like, I'm that person that's just like, all right, I'll just do it. Let me just fix it. Like, I'm such a organization freak and perfectionist that it's like, I really want to, it has, no offense, it has nothing to do with the individual. Yeah. Like for my chapter, and I tell some of my sisters, they get it now. It never was about the chapter, about you. It was about the chapter. Yeah. Like, no offense, I love you, and I know you probably can do this on your own time at your own pace, or you could do it and it comes out a certain way. But the chapter needs to look this way, and that's a problem for people because it makes them feel like I'm not giving them the opportunity. So it's a conversation that I've been having with myself, and I've been doing good at letting it just be. I've actually been happier. It's less stress on me, but at the same time, it's hard because I don't want to fail. So then I don't want that young girl to be like, Krystal Garner, dope boss, she did all this stuff. But what happened with this? And people don't see the internal struggle that I have to deal with. And it's like, darn it, it's like my reputation is important to me. It's everything.
KG, the perfectionist. I feel like in our industries, we roboticize ourselves so much, and there is like no room for error. There's not a space where I cannot be okay, where I can be sick, where I cannot perform, not show up. Like that is just not expected. And once you kind of are on this role of like, yeah, KG, she is at every event. Like we book her for anything. Like the job is going to be done to the best of the ability. God forbid you have a bad season. Bruh. People forget about the past 100 years that you've been killing it out here. But I feel like a lot of that does come from our own expectations. Yeah. So what are we doing now that you are going through this shift? How do you create a space for yourself to be human? And what are the steps that you're taking to remind other people that you're human as well?
Well, reminding other people that I'm human as well is valuing my time, right? Boom. That is such a big one because people do not value your time, So now, like even just now, somebody just tried to call my phone, right? Send me a text or an email. Let me know when you want to chat. If you are not a family member, you should not just straight call my phone. That frustrates me. But value my time. Yeah. Right? If you're always telling me, dang, KG, you're lit, you're always busy, you're always doing stuff, then respect my time. Set up a meeting, set up a call. If you do it, it's going to happen. So yeah, that's the whole reminding people that I'm human part. When people ask me if I'm okay, I'm honest. I used to not be, right? How are you feeling today? Great, everything's amazing. If it's a bad day, like, hey, didn't start off the best, but work and make it better. I'm honest now with how I'm feeling in the moment. Yeah. Because putting on that face of everything's always okay is not okay. Yeah. I just saw a whole post everybody's posting it in their story right now. And it had a picture. It was 2 pictures on it. One picture was of a girl, like with her head down crying. And then one picture was of a guy, like super happy and smiling. And then it said, both suicidal. And I was just like, you just never know. You can put on that face over and over and over again and you're not okay. I get it. We say when you go out, shake it off. But if someone asks you if you're okay, just be honest because words are powerful. And if you're constantly lying to yourself, then it's gonna mess up your mental. Yeah. It's gonna mess it up.
How do you expect support from other people on days when you're not okay? Because I went to this conference one time and one of our icebreakers was to ask 3 times in a row, how are you doing? So of course, the first time you ask somebody like, hey girl, how you been? How you doing? Naturally people say, oh, I've been good, working, whatever, same old. People could have literally like the walls tumbling down, but their natural instinct is going to say, I'm good, because that's what people want to hear. The second time they asked us, how are you doing? You're like, well, let me really ask myself, how am I doing? And then the third time you like lean in more and you're like, no, girl, how are you doing? And by the third time, everybody in the room was like, girl, my bills, they hitting me hard. My baby not acting right. My baby daddy acting stupid. It was like, okay, now you're being honest about what's going on. So how do people show that support for you? Or what is your ideal way of people creating a space for you to feel comfortable saying, yes, I am this boss woman out here who does all these things, but I'm not okay right now?
That's a super hard question for me because when you're looked at as the strong person, nobody that, I don't want to say nobody, okay. People that are closest to you, they don't ask you that question, right? It's always calling you to give them the advice. Yeah. And it's like, just go on. And then you give all that energy. And then it's like, well, how are you? Like, okay, cool. Well, I got to go now. The conversation's over. So I think for me, what ideal would be that when people give me a call to, take on the empath KG of what I'm gonna do naturally as a friend, and if you're really close to me, when you give me a call, like really sit there and ask me how I'm doing, check on me, see what's actually going on. How's this going? How's that going? But I do have, gratefully in my life, I have mentors and a life coach that anytime, I know they will never, ever judge me.
Yeah.
So if I need to call my mentor from my chapter, Sonia, I haven't seen her in so long since I moved. I can call her and just bear it all, and she wouldn't even flicker, right? She'd be like, she probably would curse me out first and be like, girl, what the hell are you talking about? And then she would just give it to me raw. She's a straight Brooklyn girl. She would just give it to me raw. My life coach also, I can tell him the craziest things. I could say, hey, I just met this guy and did some crazy stuff. I could say anything in the world to him, and he just finds a way to bring it back to scripture, bring it back to quotes, and just brings it back full circle for my life and my experiences and why I'm going through this. If I'm running for a plane, I can't believe I'm about to miss this. He's like, and I'll be on the phone, he'll be like, but you never know what was about to happen. You don't know if you were supposed to miss that flight. You don't know, and I have those people that I can call for those moments. But what I would prefer, because I don't always want to throw my stuff on them, right? And I'm intentional when I speak to them. I always check on them. Mm-hmm. I wish that people would do the same for me. The people that call me to pull for me, to help them, I really do. And they'll probably see this. And they probably, dang, KG, you could have probably just told us. But I never thought about it until just now. You asking me made me say, well, dang.
This is what I need. Yeah.
This is what I would need. I would appreciate it, because sometimes I'm just there and I'm just like, well, dang, okay, I can't even interject. With my own personal stuff, I got to be there for them.
Yeah. Do you mention that you have a life coach? This is one thing that I think I want to get into. I love therapy. I think I'm slightly outgrowing therapy. I'm looking for the next challenge in my growth, I guess. What would you say is the difference between having a therapist versus having a life coach? Or what are just some of the experiences that you feel you get out of having a life coach?
I mean, I tried therapy twice in my life. First was after my grandmother involuntarily left this earth. That's a better way to say it instead of the K word, so I like that. And I was on campus, and I wasn't leaving my room, and my coach was like, yo, we gotta figure this out. I'm a basketball coach, so I had to go to therapy then. Then I had to go to therapy after my last relationship breakup, because it just brought, I thought this was my end all be all, my husband, and it was a lot to do with me as to why we broke up, but it was painful. And I had to go to therapy. Never thought I would have to go to therapy after a guy, but whatever, it happens. And I'm just not, to each their own, but therapy for me, I'm just not a fan of. I don't know if it's because I'm super intuitive, because I guess mentor, or I guess per se life coach so many people. Yeah. To me in a room, I didn't feel like my problems were being solved. They were just being heard. And I'm like, I'm spending a lot of money and my problems are not being solved. Yeah. I'm just literally expressing everything. And then I'm going home with all of this in the air still. Yes. It's just all in the air. And I'm sitting there at home yeah. I feel like it made me go more into a darker place. Yeah. Right? So I it wasn't, I hear people talk about it and it's a buzzword right now, therapy. Yeah. And to each their own. It may work for some people. I don't know if it's because I pour into so many people that it didn't work for me. Yeah. But I feel like with my life coach or my mentors, which are all unapologetic Black ass people, it just works better for me. Yeah. It's so authentic and real. They know my life story, everything that I've grown from, everything I've overcome, my trials and tribulations, my dark moments. They know everything about me, that they're able to just kind of pull me in. Yeah. I may blurt out everything that's going on, and then they just round it back in. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And then it's I'm able to go about my day. I'm cool.
No, I completely get that, and I agree. I think that's probably the reason why I feel like I'm outgrowing therapy, because it won't always be solution-based. I do know some people whose therapists act more of a life coach. They give them exercises and homework to do and this shadow work and stuff, so it provides solutions for them. my therapist, and I'm grateful for her because at the time when I found her, I just needed a space to vent.
Okay.
There was
Yep.
no other safe space for people where I could just come in and dump and then they not look at me like a crazy person or not look at me and say, y'all, she not as strong as we thought that she was. She needs some help. Lay off her, give her a break. Like, it's almost like you're gaslighting me or trying to handicap me for just being human. So I appreciated that. But I do think that a life coach is like way more intentional.
Yep. And a life coach can be found in just anyone, right? Like my life coach, it is so funny because I had to, how we even got to that title, it was just, we literally spoke every day. This is one of my best friends' brother-in-law, who when we were modeling in New York City in our early 20s was like, all right, I'll manage y'all so we can make sure nobody takes advantage of y'all. And we did all these great things together. And then when I still was going towards my modeling acting career, and my other friends decided to go into professional careers, still was managing me, still getting me through. Like I would go to big auditions, and then I like not get it, and I would like be in distraught, like I know I killed it. Or if I walk out the room and I felt like I did a horrible job, like oh my God, auditioning is a real test of your strength.
Man,
it's just oh my God, it's so intense, especially in New York City, especially model life when I was a size 4. Walking in these rooms with an afro before it was like a thing, it was very intense hearing the no's and what's wrong with you. And you have to really build a strong, and I was very strong, but I still had moments like with super big opportunities that would break me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get this. Like I didn't get something because of my nails one time.
Oh, is that critical?
Yeah, it was, and it was upsetting because I really liked the show and it was coming back. And they had this cool ass concept for it. And I was like, oh my God, this is dope. I want to be a part of this. Oh, I'm already ready for this. I'm a correspondent. So like the whole concept of it, you had to be kind of like a correspondent, but it was a commercial. And I was hyped. And I made it all the way through a couple of rounds. And literally I had like, they were already a little upset at my afro and it being so big. Mind you, this is a black thing. My afro was a little too big. I was like, well, this can always be tamed down to be small. And it wasn't even this big back then. This was when I had the small afro. I was like, it could be tamed down or I could have straight hair. I was like being inventive with my nails. Like I said, I'm always a big personality and I like to be myself. So I had like slanted nails. It was like my thing that I was doing. I don't know why, whatever. I was in my mid-20s. I had like these purple slanted nails. And I walk in an audition and I'm just like, oh, I got it. Like this is the third one, killing it. So I go in and the person I was casting it, I didn't even realize he was like staring at him or whatever. And when I got the call that I didn't get it, because I was kind of like on hold for a bit, I was in my acting class and I was like, I saw a message. I was like, oh, I gotta go check. And I went out in the hallway and it was like, yeah, no, they decided to go a different direction. And it was my homeboy that delivered the news to me because he knew I really wanted it. And he was just like, yeah, they already had a kind of an issue with your hair, and then like you came with like some different nails. I said, but it's nails. I could have changed it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, we decided to go with someone else. And then I saw the commercial didn't even come out, whatever, the way it should have. I was like, oh, I would have killed it. But I was in such a distraught.
Yeah.
My acting coach was like trying to calm me down because I was like in tears in the hallway. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get it because of my nails. And my acting coach was just like, well, that means there's a big opportunity. He's saying this, but I was just like, But when I call my life coach, it's just always like, he's like, but do you know who you are? You had a billboard in Times Square. Like he used to always just like, don't worry about it. Like he knew how to pull in personal things, right? And that's what I think the difference is between therapy and a life coach, right? Therapy, I'm a professional, industry professional. I studied for this, and I'm gonna tell you the answers that I get from the studies that I've had. Versus a life coach, which can come in any form, which my manager, he was at that time, which I evolved into my life coach, he pulled personal things and was able to like just pour into me. Like, no, you're good. This is why you're good. This is why you're good. No, what are you talking about? Like, you're good. So it transformed into eventually when I was no longer, I said that out loud, no longer pursuing entertainment. In a sense, right? I moved to Atlanta, had to be a GM, had to put down my audition life KG, and interviewing from the show slowed down. And then he had a newborn, and he was like, well, I can't manage you anymore. And I was just like, what? It's been like 10 years we talking about. I was like, but we still talk every day. And I was like, well, I guess you're kind of like my life coach then. I was like, when you take out the title, when
Yeah.
you take out payments, when you take out scheduling and calls and all that, when you take that all out, when it boiled down to it, you really were coaching my life the whole time. So it could come in different forms. It doesn't have to be someone that has a degree in it. It could be someone that's been pouring into you for so long, and now you just, once you put that on that title on it, it kind of makes it real to me. Like I said, words are very powerful. So I could just say I'm calling my friend. No, this is legit my life coach. Like, he's family for life, but that's my life coach.
Yeah, I love that you were able to find that person, because not everybody is that lucky. Yeah.
I'm so grateful. I don't know what I would like, I've read so many books. I've made my mind very strong for so many years, but I really don't know what I would have did without Mr. Kevin back.
Go, Kevin. All right, so I want to switch gears a little bit, because we touched on it. With you having this new shift now, how is your personal life? How do we make time for dating? We know that you had this bad relationship, and I know how that is. Once you're older, me and my friend were literally just having this conversation, and I was telling her, like, heartbreak as you get older is very different.
It's very different.
And I really wish that men, or just dating partners in general, would understand like how crucial that is for them to be more careful with how they move or whose heart they break. Because at 21, I could bounce back from heartbreak like this, and I didn't have as much to lose as I did now. 28-year-old Jasmine, I'm running a whole business. Like, heartbreak right now for me could look like me not paying my bills for the next couple months because I'm so distraught. Yeah. So what does that look like now?
Imagine at 35, okay?
Bless your heart.
It's so, well, heartbreak, I didn't expect it to affect me that bad. And it stressed me. It had me just like sitting in a tub with a bottle. You know, like, it was very, very bad, because I also was in a new city by myself.
So this was like your comfort space almost once you moved. Yeah.
I mean, we lived together. So we were long distance at this time because I had to relocate. I didn't know after the show that I was going to have to move to Atlanta. I thought they should just give me a check. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was like, no, you actually got to work. I was like, what? Oh, okay. Damn. Snap, after all the work y'all put me through in the show. But anywho, we were living together for 8 months in DC. So this is the second time we were together. We were together in our 20s, then we got back together later in our 30s. Well, he turned 30 while we were together. He's like 2 years younger than me. Living with someone is a lot, right? Like, I was on it. I was definitely that housewife. It's so funny. People are like, I can't see you as that person. But that's literally me and my soul. I grew up.
And you're still making time to do like the work stuff.
Yes. So it's like, while he was before he left to work, I had breakfast for him, packed the lunch, whether it was leftovers from the night before or something new. And I used to make sure dinner was ready when he came home.
I cannot see that.
And it's so weird to me, because I guess, I grew up on home cooked food. Yeah. When I first moved here, I literally was like, okay, I gotta go. I got something thawing out. And they're like, what's wrong with you? What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Whatever. And then I got accustomed to the life here, but I've always had home cooked food. And this is my man. So I'm making sure he's taken care of. He's out working. When he comes back, I'm either on calls or auditioning, and it's just while the show was on air. So I'm like doing Zoom interviews and all these things, and at the gym and going to events all over DC and getting bookings and stuff like that. That was my life. And I still to this day, even though I definitely messed up in the relationship, I still to this day think that was my soulmate. And that's what makes it hard. When you finally like, this is the person. He knows everything about me. He accepts me, flaws and all. He pushes me up, and the long distance part, and whatever the mess up is, the heartbreak that came from it. I was more heartbroken that I broke his heart. Right? And then I think the heartbreak that came to me was the fact that he kind of like toyed with the fact that he knew that us breaking up was my fault, and was kind of playing me, right? We were still kind of talking after this so-called breakup on my birthday. And that's kind of what really broke me. It was just like, you're playing. Like, I know I messed up. I'm already upset that I messed up.
Yeah.
But now you're playing. Like, that we can actually still be back together. And
it's
we're
manipulative,
not.
yeah.
You know, we're not going to be. And that heartbreak at this age, right? That heartbreak when you're older. And I said this on my Instagram the other day. Right now, dating is a clearance rack, you know? And I went even deeper into it the other day. I was on the phone with my life coach, and I said, I need to put this out there in the world. I said, it's the clearance rack, and it's a whole bunch of returns on this rack, some exchanges on this rack. There's so much damage in this clearance rack, out of season, you know, like nobody, like, just stubborn, don't want to, like, it's just all the wrong things. And you got to search through it and find what's decent.
Yeah.
And that's how dating feels right now. That's literally how, well, at my age group, at 35.
I think everybody feels that way, though.
I don't know how. And the only reason I say that is because I think when you get to 35, there's so many people that's either already has kids, like, it's just so many boxes checked off already.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're in your 20s, you have this whole mindset of, well, I want a guy with no kids, I want a guy with no, like, you just kind of have this laundry list of the things that you don't want.
Yeah.
And when you get to my age, most people already have their kids, might have been married before, you know, might have some habits that they can't get rid of.
Yeah.
You know, that used to be a deal breaker for you. Like, smoking used to be a heavy deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are still a heavy deal breaker for me.
Yeah, I can't do that, no.
But now I'm, like, trying to be okay with, you know, the now legalized substances. Because I don't do that.
Yeah.
And so dating in your 30s, then the biological clock stuff, and then when you are, like, all that stuff plays a role. But I think, honestly, forget that part. It's the people that are left to choose from. I think there's way more options in the 20s. And people are still growing, figuring it out.
Let me tell you why it's not options. Because in your 20s, you get, like, these older people who, I'm thinking back when I was like 23 and I'm getting hit on by guys that are like early to mid 30s. And I feel like every girl in that age is like, oh, I got me like an older guy. He got a little cash on him. Cool. They look at us like we're the young hot. But I didn't know what way to put it.
No. And it is very true. And it's very disturbing to me. Like,
and it sucks because you don't want to, not that you won't take me seriously, but off rip, you thinking I'm gonna get a fun time, I'm gonna get some good sex, and she's gonna be lively, like she's an arm piece for me. And I'm dating you like in real pursuit. They don't realize that, yeah, I'm maybe 23, 24, 25, but like I still date for marriage the same way. So I feel like we kind of always are in this little pickle where it's like a question mark over the person that I'm with and where they're at with dating.
But that's my thing. I've always kind of dated close to my age.
Can't do it.
So I think that's the reason why I feel like there's more options in the 20s, because I was growing with people. And not one of my boyfriends were more than 2 years older than me.
Am I just hot in the ass?
And I honestly would suggest, if you can, it's better to grow with someone than to get somebody that's already knowing how they want their living room to look.
In my experience, and I love that you've been able to grow with people. I think that ideally, I would have loved that for myself. I saw that it wasn't realistic for me because I started my business when I was 21. Most people my age aren't starting businesses. And even before I started my business, I'm like already in the brink of things.
Where are you
like
from again?
Atlanta, born and raised. Girl.
So I think, okay, my apologies. Let me say it this way. And I know I'm gonna get some slack from this. It depends where you are.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm from New York City. So being here, a lot of the guys that I've met that's been married, they just, you know, that might have tried to grow with someone, they didn't really get to know each other. Totally different in Atlanta than it is in New York City. In New York City, we also are too grown too soon.
Yes.
Right? Like, I went to high school in Manhattan. So at 12 years old, because I was 12 going on 13, I was getting on a bus, the ferry, and a train by myself with strangers, with grown people going to Wall Street, people going to their jobs. literally that was my life by myself.
Yeah.
So you grow up so much quicker. You have to have so much more street smarts and wits.
Yeah.
Mom and dad's not dropping me off for school. No school bus is picking me up. You have to be able to be on your P's and Q's to make sure you don't get kidnapped. People ain't trying to prey on you. Like, you have to grow up so much quicker in New York City. Therefore, for me, when I got to my 20s and I was dating, I guess the mindset that I saw of the men that I was dating, right, at that age, they had the same type of level of grownness to them.
Yeah.
We were entrepreneurs on our grind, doing our thing, but we were 19. I was engaged at 19. My first boyfriend, my first real relationship, let me not say first, but my first real long-term relationship, we both were entrepreneurs at 19. We both were doing prepaid legal.
Yeah.
Like, we were like going to meetings in business suits at 19.
And that makes a lot of room for emotional maturity as well. When a man has his stuff together, he can think about a relationship.
But that's how, and that's why I said, okay, let me take a step back, and because where's the disconnect? The disconnect is definitely where it's happening at. So I'm grateful, and I pinched myself, and I was talking to, which that's why I said that's not my first. I had a boyfriend, of course, in high school. I was talking to my high school ex the other day, and we were literally talking about, he was just saying like how so many girls passed up on so many cool guys, and now they complain about the dating pool. And I said, and I beat myself up sometimes about that. But I've learned to actually no longer beat myself up and pat myself on the shoulder, because I'm like, I wouldn't be the woman who I am today had I said yes to one of the great men who are great men now, great relationships. If I would have said yes then, right, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I literally at first, it's like, yeah, I used to really be upset when I really thought about it. And then I had to say, but you know what? I just bought a condo. That's not something I even thought about living in New York City, right? I a high level executive, all this stuff are things that I actually really saw. When I was a kid, I thought I was gonna be a runway model and a basketball player. That's all I saw in my cards. So the woman I am today is thankful, because if I would have chose someone, then I would have been Susie Homemaker, like I was.
Yeah.
Which is cool for some people, but I don't think that was my destiny, my cards. So I say that to say, if you have the opportunity, and I honestly feel that the current environment in Atlanta with the diversity that's coming here from people from different cities, if you're in your 20s, challenge yourself to date somebody in your age group, because there's a lot of foolery going around, especially with men looking for that eye candy. Atlanta, I'm like, this is like a sugar daddy market. You know, like, and that's not what I want at all.
What I will say, the benefit that came to me in dating a little older, and by older, I don't mean that I dated like a 60, 70-year-old man. Y'all, I have never had a sugar daddy in my life. But I would go, I think the oldest I've dated was maybe like,
say it, please say it.
I dated someone, or I went on a few dates with someone who was 43 and I was 21.
See, I'm 35 and I haven't talked to anybody that's 43.
Now let me tell you why I'm grateful for this. For one, he was Italian. His approach with me was very different. He was very romantic. He was not on that like be super sexual. We've never done anything physical with each other ever. He literally showed me what it's like for a man to court me. That was my first time really experiencing that. And because he's more established, like he got some cash to play with, his idea of courting was like blowing my mind. I'm grateful that I got the opportunity to date older men that could show me what a man is really supposed to do for me in terms of them being a gentleman. The downside is I've also dated some older men who knew I was a little green to certain things. So they played. When I say played, I mean like I don't even want to recount some of these embarrassing stories, but they took advantage of the fact that I just really didn't know any better. So I'm trying to take direction and almost being conditioned and groomed by this person who does not have my best interest, but I'm assuming that they do. So that is some of the dangers of it, or some of the cons.
You gotta always take the best out of each scenario, right? And I think you said something that was key, and that's something that, continuing my story of the clearance rack, right?
It's the clearance rack.
I told my friends that it's time for me to shop at different stores. I've always been a woman of I will only be with a black man. And I'm now, right? And mind you, one of my closest friends ever, childhood besties, godmother to her child that she just had, she married an Italian man. And I've never had an interest or attraction to anyone outside of the Black culture, but now I do. And I'm trying to be okay with it. I'm trying to not get mad. Like, you know, like you think your family is gonna be like, what are you doing? You know, I'm not trying, but I'm now at the point where I don't care what you have to say, but I want to try something different. Do you feel like it
makes you like a traitor to your culture or something? Do you feel like you're abandoning any part of like your history and your traditions by you just choosing to date outside of your race?
No, I think I'm choosing me now. I think back then, yes, maybe that played a role in it as a mindset, but I was also that's just what I was attracted to.
Yeah.
I wasn't attracted to anything else. Like the closest to attraction to anything else, I was talking to a guy who was Korean and Black, but he was more so very Black, you know? More so, he was just more Black than Korean. Well, now that he got older, he looks more Korean, but anyway. You know, and that was kind of like the closest. And I didn't take him serious, you know? It just wasn't, I was just like, yeah, you know, if we do this, we will have some cute little babies, you know, in my brain. But, you know, this 20-year-old.
Yeah.
The 20-year-old mindset that I had, early 20s. The clearance rack, I'm comfortable with saying that, and I got to shop at other stores because I feel like I won't have to shop on the clearance rack.
Okay.
I feel like there's a little bit more availability if I diversify my portfolio versus I'm at one store looking at one brand, trying to get this one item.
Yeah. And
everything's sold out and I'm on a clearance rack, right? Versus if I go into a department store and it just has all these other brands. It's just a bigger dating pool for me to go ahead.
So shopping at a different store for you right now only means trying out people of different racial backgrounds but not different ages, correct?
Oh, I can't. Well, okay. I'm learning to be okay with. I'm young. I like younger, right? But like only like my ex-boyfriend who I was with for a total 6 years, he's 2 years younger than me.
Okay.
Right? I can't do under 30. That's creepy to me. Even at 30 is creepy. I was talking to someone, recently divorced, super dope, admired them from a distance from a long time. But of course, I'm very respectful. And I was really interested in talking to them. They are 42. So, you know, I was like, oh, hearing the number. I was like, oh. But then everybody's like, KG, you right there? I'm like, oh, like I can see stuff. I'm like, I am right there. So I'm okay with that number now because I know I'm close to it.
Yeah.
But 50? No, I'm not going to 50. Won't go to 50.
That's a little odd.
I'm not going 45
we don't have
either.
Nothing in common right
I'll do 43 and under.
I like dating people who are a little older than me because I like when people can teach me things.
I love being taught things.
Yeah.
But don't get it twisted. You could be taught things from anybody.
That's very true too. And I think that for what I bring to the table, I can teach people a lot of things as well. So me just where I am mentally and being emotionally intellectual, I'm able to have like ongoing conversations with men that are 20 years my senior, and it's a very engaging and riveting conversation. I'm thinking of some of the conversations that I have now with men that I talk to or date, and if I try to have those same conversations with a man who's 28 and my age, it looks completely different. Even if he is an entrepreneur and equally as successful as me, he's 28. And in my generation, that is just, it doesn't come with a lot of emotional maturity. It doesn't.
And I think also that plays a role, right? Because I'm a millennial, and are you technically Gen Z? Technically?
I don't know. All I know is millennial.
What year were you born?
Jesus. I was born in 1994. Jesus.
So yeah, you literally, so 95 is when Gen Z started, but you got the tail end of millennial on you, but you were pretty much growing into Gen Z. I know that.
It don't even sound right no more. When I meet people or like people talking about, people born in the 2000s, I'm like, God.
The 90s was always weird to me. I'm in the 80s. Right? So, I mean, but that also plays a role in it because just the experiences that you went through, totally different than experiences that I went through in life, right? I went through phones just getting started and
Oh,
you know,
the way that y'all connect is just different.
Like Black Planet was a thing, MySpace, and then get into and then also I experienced 9/11. Like life was totally different. I was in high school in the city when it happened. So for me, it all of that stuff plays a major role in your maturity level and how you cope and deal with things.
Yeah.
And I feel like they call millennials microwave. Gen Z is way more air fryer, I guess. I don't know.
It is air fryer. So your struggle in being a successful woman in your 30s has included your journey battling fibroids.
Yes.
So first, educate everyone, because I don't think people know what fibroids actually is, how it affects the body, and what it means for you now when it comes to you professionally, mental health wise, and how do you feel it's affected you and how you live your life as KG?
Whew, such a layered and intentional question. I didn't realize until they were taken out of me how much stress they put on me, and how much they are fueled by stress, right? It helps it get bigger. They're benign tumors, and I found out that I had them because I was gaining weight, but I wasn't able to lose it. Now, it's not normal for me. I was a 2-sport college athlete. So in my brain, I'm like, what's going on with my body? I also was blessed all my life until that point, and I'm back at that point again, thank God, to have very light menstruals, no cramping. It was just, most I would have is like, just normal stuff, headaches, things like that. But I didn't have bad periods.
Yeah.
My periods got very bad, cramps, heavy, pain, can't focus, stress all the time, angry. And I was like, what's wrong? And I went to my doctor, and she was like, okay, I think you have fibroids. I think you have like 1 or 2. I think one's on your lining, blah, blah. So she didn't they did like the ultrasound and they seen it. I had it or whatever. And she was like, well, you have a couple. You know how many? You have a couple. We could do a less evasive surgery. So I started with the less evasive surgery where they just went in and took one out. The one that was on my lining. The one that was causing heavy bleeding. After that surgery, we realized that wasn't enough. One moved into its place, and I had a 45-day period, which was intense. Going from never having cramps and all, I was like in pain, angry all the time, having accidents all the time. And I had like a really bad accident at work that like 2 of my coworkers had to help. Like I had to like run. I had like huge clouds coming out of me, emergency surgery, myomectomy. I had to walk around for a week with like a blue band because I became severely anemic because I lost so much blood. We tried to avoid surgery at all costs. So myomectomy, think C-section without the reward. Okay. So getting cut open and having the same exact procedure as a C-section, but without the reward of having the baby at the end, right? So I had the surgery. Then at the same time, I had blood clots, so I had to get blood thinners. It was just a crazy time. And to come to find out, the couple we thought we had about 5 or 6, maybe 8, had 18.
Jesus.
So I was walking around for months carrying a weight of like being at least like 3-4 months pregnant.
And these are on your uterus.
So these are, they were all over the place. They were all in there. I was just huge. Like, it's just like I couldn't lose my weight.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until after how much stress. Like, I was just angry all the time. But damn it, if you was bleeding for 45 days, you'd be angry too. Like, oh my God. It affected my work. I wasn't focused. I was very just quick. Like, everything just was pissing me off.
Yeah,
I was
snappy.
very easy to anger.
Yeah.
Post-surgery, feel amazing, right? I'm still dealing with weight up and down because I couldn't really work out. And then after surgery, I couldn't eat. So once I was able to eat, I ate everything. I was like, recovery was like 6 weeks, which sitting down for me for 6 weeks is a hell of a lot. And it was like the summer. I was like, what the heck? So trying to explain what I'm going through to a whole bunch of men, it didn't matter to them.
Yeah.
They didn't. They just didn't care. I'm like, I'm in pain. I'm going through a lot. Or coming back after surgery and like making jokes and things like that. And I'm just like, this isn't cool.
Because I think for them, a lot of people, women don't even know what it is. So if they hear fibroids, they're like, oh, she ain't gonna die. So
but
they move on from it.
But the challenging part, first of all, 90% of Black women experience fibroids. 90%. And I'm no expert, but it's just frustrating that no one told us that this was a thing. And there's no real answers to preventing it because there isn't real research on it.
Yeah.
This is something that Kamala was talking about that she wanted to push initiatives to, since it really affects Black women at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It causes infertility. So I'm dealing with those issues. Imagine going on a date and saying, hey, you want to have kids? I possibly can't. You know, like that's where I'm at currently in life. Like I'm at the window right now where my doctor's like, well, you should really try right now. I was like, but I'm single.
Yeah. So what am I supposed
to do? Just, hey, come here, Sarah. You look like we're going to have some great kids. That's a lot of stress to deal with. And then I have like other high levels and stuff. So, you know, I still have all these appointments where they constantly checking me out and seeing what's going on. But that's stressful.
That's a lot to unpack mentally. So I feel like, how do you show yourself grace with this whole idea that you could possibly not have kids? Let's say you meet the man of your dreams tomorrow and it is on his list. Like that is a deal breaker that he has to be with someone who wants to have children. Like, what does that do for you mentally? What kind of place does that put you in?
I'm grateful. Like I said, I have been super intentional with the things that I allow into my mind.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of books in my life. I do a lot of, I don't want to call it meditation, but just like affirmations and stuff. Doesn't really bother me, right? In a sense of, it doesn't bother me now. And I think it's because I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
So what are things that I can do? I would be open to adoption. I would be open to surrogate. I'll be open to freezing my eggs. These are conversations that I'm having now.
Yeah.
These are conversations that I'll talk to my line sisters like, all right, so what should I be doing? Like, you know, one of my line sisters, she checked my insurance. She said, okay, your insurance covers this. Like, they're helping me cope with the fact that that's a thing. But I do, when I have a conversation with someone and we're like talking, I let them know like there's a possibility. Like the guy that I was interested in, I literally was like, there's a possibility that I can't have kids. Like, would you still, I know you already had, like, did you still want more? If you were, would you be open to adoption? Like, these are conversations that I'm having in the beginning. Cause it's like, I don't want to waste my time. Cause what if this is my window, right? And if it is my window, I want someone to know now. So I don't have to waste my time during my window if you don't want to, if you're not okay with that, or us actually possibly trying, you know, before marriage, which is something I never thought I would say, but I'm being okay with things. And I'm grateful of that because a lot of people aren't okay.
Yeah.
I follow We Can Wear White. It's this Instagram page, one of my favorite pages. They put my story up there because I have like a whole video on my Instagram. And a lot of women are not okay with that. And it hurts them. And I'm like, you know what? This is my cards. Like, God hasn't steered me wrong yet, right? Things that I never thought were even possible for me. And this is also, it doesn't mean that this is not going to happen. So I'm just being okay with it.
What is your supportive advice for women who are currently struggling with fibroids?
Definitely follow We Can Wear White. That page got me through so much. It's Black women ran. They do a lot of dope events. Don't beat yourself up about it because so many women are going through it.
Yeah.
So many women are going through it and don't even know it because you don't have symptoms and you don't check.
Yeah.
And if you don't tell your doctor to check, you're not going to know until it's kind of too late.
Yeah.
You know, and I would recommend checking. If you are a Black girl, check. See if you have fibroids, see if you have endometriosis, see if you have PCOS. Like, check on everything that can deal with fertility issues because guess what? There are people in this world that do not want us to continue to reproduce. Yeah. So do your part.